Hello, hello, hello. Okay, so we've been gone for a very long time, but we have very good reason for that. So we are indeed back, and I think this is episode 3, right?
Should be.
It should be. I think so. But we're back. See, and we're back before the end of 2024. So we are back with our next episode, and it is entitled Promo Being Obedient. Okay, okay. All right, so why have we been gone away for so long? So many things that would take up this entire podcast episode. So we're going to condense it to some really short bullets. Um, Job changes, uh, spiritual growth,
Hmm.
uh, some God-led like situations. When you say that, it's a good way to put it. So I hope y'all can hear us because we don't have our typical stand up as you setup as you can see here. We don't have our microphone. We don't have any of those things, and so I am hoping that this audio is not choppy and it is nice and clear, and that you can hear us and see us well. So, being obedient. When we put the episode list together for the season 3 of It Takes Work, um, we just had no idea. I don't know why we don't realize and recognize that whenever God prompts you to do a thing, initiates something to happen, you typically have to live it out
He
first.
put you to the test.
He said, "Oh, you want to do a podcast episode about being obedient, huh? Cool.
Let me give you some material to work with.
So that's what's been going on, right? Um, for us both, we've been in a major obedience journey, and then as a collective unit, there has been obedience. And tonight, we just wanted to come on and share a little bit, and then I'll go first. And I'm gonna turn it over to you, Mr. Wilson, if you don't mind. For me, it's unique. My obedience journey was very unique. I, at the top of the year, transitioned jobs and was very excited about the opportunity that I was entering into. It was new territory, and God was in it. So I'm not going to sit up here and say, oh, I did something of my own choosing. No, I definitely heard God. I definitely moved at God's leading. And it was indeed a experience curated by God, because the outcome of the situation, you never would have, you couldn't have paid me to think that it would turn out the way that it did. I wouldn't that I'm sitting where I am today, in the position I'm in today, starting with that whole journey. But I transitioned jobs in obedience to the Lord, and it ended up being a very, it just was not what they said it was going to be. It was toxic. It also tested a lot of things in me, and it showed me that I was not truly allowing God to lead me. I was being led by my intellect. I was being led by what I thought I knew. And so God really showed himself strong in my life through that situation. I needed God to survive what I endured uh, in that new opportunity. I don't think I've worked in some strange situations, but I don't think I've ever worked in anything like that. It was a very toxic situation. They used all of the tactics that you hear about in spiritual warfare. There was intimidation, manipulation. There was a lot of attempting to control,
Gaslight.
gaslight. Oh my gosh, gaslight, right? And then, of course, on top of that, from a corporate perspective, there was a lot of favoritism. There was a lot of, they would use certain things to try to get you to, it messed with your confidence, tore you down real bad. And at first I was thinking, oh, you know what, you led me here, Lord. But God knows what he's doing. So the job ends. Well, the job doesn't end. I quit because I couldn't take it no more. It had put me in a space of darkness that I hadn't entertained in 15 plus years. And I made a decision after having a conversation with Mr. Wilson here, and I just quit. And that's typically not like me. I'm always proactive, trying to find another job, which I was, but I was in such a fragile mental state. I don't know. And so I was unemployed for a little while. And that was the period of time that God really established this. I don't know. Something changed in our relationship with God during that time. Like it was like he was trying to make sure we knew that he was our only source. There was no job, no level of intellect, no group of friends, no societal nothing. We needed to depend on God, and I don't just mean that from a financial perspective because he definitely showed up.
From everything.
But I'm talking about from an everything perspective, from our mental, our physical, our financial, and especially our spiritual. But he showed us that he truly is our source. Wouldn't you agree?
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up getting another opportunity, but I ended up with another opportunity with the company that I left to join that new company. And God, nobody will ever be able to tell me that God cannot take a place that was once familiar, that was once, you didn't think anything else new could come from it and create new ground. Like, because come back and I'm into a new opportunity and it's a better opportunity professionally, financially, and especially from a team dynamic. Like I'm working with an entirely different team. It's healthy. And I can only think that God used this very unique situation to create this opportunity for me. So it helps me to not despise what I went through. And in keeping with the subject line of this podcast, we had to be obedient. Wouldn't you agree? There was nothing we could do of our own. We had to, everything God was telling us to do, we just had to do it. From make this call, log on to this website, do this, sow this seed. We had to. And I know that had we not done it that way, every directive he gave us, we followed, we wouldn't have made it. And so I remember us talking about this episode and what the next episode was supposed to be. And I told Jelani, I said, the next episode is called Being Obedient. He laughed a little bit because he understands, man, these last, 4 or 5 months? Yeah. It's
been a chunk of this year, really.
Yeah, man. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Mr. Wilson. Talk a little bit about your obedience journey since we have been away.
Well, my experience, I think God was trying to get me to the space of complete and utter faith in him and trust my entire life with him, which I could honestly admit that I haven't fully done, because I always, and I think a lot of people fall into this category where they try to fix the problem themselves, but it ended up making it more worse than it actually, was.
Yeah.
And I think he was trying to get me out of that space of trying to be Mr. Fix It All by any means necessary. And it was also a humbling experience that I had to go through, because I wasn't really looking for God to fix my problems or to help me through my problems or be the source that I need to tap into to resolve my problems. And he also wanted me to increase my faith in him and my relationship in him. by increasing my relationship and my intimacy with him, that increased that bond even more, that God is going to cover me through whatever life throws at me.
Yeah.
And so I'm just trying to get my thoughts together because it's so much.
Yeah.
But he already started working on me, I would say like till the end of last year, as far as me just having complete and utter blind faith that he can do all things.
Yep.
And it started in December.
Yeah, that was a woo.
He only gave us like a little taste of what he could do. Started in December. My business was kind of, on the slow tip because we just moved down here, so we was having a hard time finding, consistent clientele to, bring in steady income. So I had to look for jobs, and let me just say, the job market sucks.
Man,
it utterly sucks. To the point I was doing Uber, and which was, I ain't gonna say it was bad, but it wasn't sustainable.
Yeah.
So I know I needed to find something else to do, and so God blessed me with a job, literally at the beginning of the year. So he helped me get myself back on course financially, but he was still working all of the mess that's in me spiritually out of me, and giving me that clarity of who really runs the show.
Yeah.
And it ain't me.
Yeah.
It ain't never us, y'all. So anytime somebody say it's never about you, take that to heart. It's never about you. It's about God.
It's going to always be about God, 100%. I think. And God is not cruel. So I don't want to give this impression that what he allowed us to go through, what he took us through was rooted in cruelty. It really was to show us that he is our source. He's the good source, and he really wants the absolute best for us. And a lot of times we can be so self-centered, self-centered and self-righteous and so full of ourselves, what we know, what we've experienced, who we are, that we can treat God like an option. Oh, this is real hard. Let me go pray. Oh, my degree won't help me figure this out. Let me go to church. When in actuality, God should be your source above anything else. And I definitely agree with the humility part of it, that humbling, because, if these last 8 months, 7 or 8 months, haven't taught me anything, it has taught me how important it is to don't think any higher of yourself than you are. God is faithful. As I've shared, he curated a whole new opportunity for me. He's stabilizing us, but he's used some very unique situations to help us get here. We had to be obedient to make certain phone calls. We had to be obedient to take things from people that we normally wouldn't. We normally would be like, well, we can figure this out. I remember we were in a situation financially, and we just didn't know what God was going to do. We didn't know. And we prayed this prayer the night before a breakthrough came. But we prayed this prayer, and just a simple prayer: God, please make a way out of no way. And prior to us praying that prayer, Jelani had sat here and was looking on his phone, and he was trying to apply for one of those, not the payday loans, but the personal loans where you could get a lump sum of money. And he was trying to do that, and
it kept denying.
It wouldn't even open. It wouldn't open, right?
Yeah, I couldn't even log in.
Because we had one of those before, paid it off, it's all over and done with. So he's trying to log back in again to,
request 6 times, y'all.
And it wouldn't work.
6 times. It kept denying. And I literally had to, after the 6 times, I'm like, okay, this is God's way of saying, stop trying to fix problems yourself again. I'm trying to get you out of that. Literally. And once that came to that, resolution, okay, it's gonna be God or nothing. That's when God moved.
We literally had to surrender. I'm not even joking. We had to surrender. The whole Ubering thing, God had to show him, you spending more money on gas and maintenance on your car, and you're generating in revenue. Quit that. He had to show me, yeah, I know you're used to being able to do a whole bunch of stuff and generating income from different streams of revenue. That's not going to work either. It didn't. It didn't. We had to surrender. We had to put down what we thought was best and just yield. And I promise y'all gonna think this is one of them televangelist type testimonies where they be like, oh, I woke up and it was a check in the mailbox. Nah, but what it was is God really did do a sudden move. Like it was suddenly. We prayed that prayer the night before. The very next day, he did also have to deal with some pride in me because I had to tell someone what I was going through, what I was in need of. And had I not opened my mouth and said that, they would not have been able to be used as a resource to help me resolve one of the issues I was having. Pride was heavy on me, y'all. I was like, I don't want to ask. I don't want to tell nobody. I don't want nobody to know. And this person came through and I knew it was God just because of the way that she was ministering to me when she said the things she said. And then what happened was God used several other people like in that same day. It was like in a 24-hour.
More than this, continuous.
No, but I'm saying from that prayer to the very next day, he had taken care of some major financial things for us, major. And then he had this continuous flow of support that continued. And I'm like, wow, because you get the job, you start working, you don't get a check on day one. So you still got bills and other things. And we already had deficits from me being out of work. But God came through, I'm telling y'all, came through and put it all in order. And one of the things that I had to realize and recognize, and I'm sure you did too, was what he was using people to do wasn't just about us. We had to allow them to sow the seeds that they did, whether it was through words, whether it was through their support, whether it was something financially. We had to allow them to do that because there was something he wanted to do in them and for them too. So if we let our pride get in the way and say, oh, no, or I don't want to tell nobody my business, we are blocking the blessings for other people. And so this little title, being obedient, it ain't just something we talking about. I promise you it's not.
That's a hard lesson.
It is. It is.
Because you gotta like reprogram yourself to look at life the way God looks at it, not the way you view it. Because we look at life on a small scale compared to God. God uses everything, everyone, at any time that He chooses. We think that if it ain't happening for us right now, then oh well, we just messed up. Life is going in the toilet. But we gotta change our mindset that we're not working on our time, we're working on God's time. God's time is different.
Yep.
Just because He ain't did it for you just right there, that doesn't mean that He's not putting things in place and opening up these doors that things just going to start to happen just like that.
Yeah.
But you gotta have faith.
And you also got to change your outlook on who you say God is. I think one of the things that God really had to do in me was to help me to see that I am not just a resource for you to receive from. I am a source. I am the source. I am the source for your health. I am the source for your strength. I am the source for your peace. I am the source for your hope. I am the source for your life. So if you limit me to as only your financial source, or limit me to only being the source of your strength when you are weak, you limit me.
Boxing God.
And the truth is, I also had to own the fact that I was putting God in the space of a genie. Oh God, do it for me, do it for me. And God's like, one thing I have learned this, and he told me this years ago, but it just really jumped out at me recently, is God, I remember God telling me, don't stop begging when you're praying, because you don't have to beg me for anything. if you're begging and you're begging from a space of desperation, it's not me you're seeking for what you're after. And I was like, yo, so this time I was very conscious, when I was in prayer about things that we had need of. I didn't beg because he's my father. And he said, if an earthly father will give to his children, knowing, and the father is imperfect and the children are imperfect, what more will a perfect father do? And I'm paraphrasing for all the Bible scholars. So don't come for me, okay? I mean, you know what I'm going. You know what I'm saying. But yeah, I'll say these last, because I think the last episode we did was back in March. So what are we in September? So the last, 6 months, baby.
It's been a while. But it was a life-changing for the good.
Yes.
One where we could use our testimony to help people, which we already started to do. I think that was God's intent.
Like literally, as he was bringing us out of particular situations, we literally were encountering people who were in the exact same position we were in. And we were able to pray and minister to them from a realistic place. Because tell the truth, if you have a situation you got going on and you're talking to somebody about it and they've never been through it, it doesn't do a whole lot for you when they offer you thoughts for consideration and recommendations for solutions, because you're like, you don't really understand. But it's something about when you've gone through it or you're going through it and you meet a person and they're going through it or have gone through it, you can receive what they're saying a little bit better because they understand. Man. So it is our hope that tonight's episode encourages you to just know that, like, being obedient to God isn't just something to be said. It isn't just something to, it sounds good, especially, being obedient and following Jesus. Obedience is key. We're telling you from example. Okay. Had we not been obedient, I don't know what season of life we would be in right now. I can even say confidently, we wouldn't be sitting right here in this house right now. Yeah.
Podcast from the car.
Oh, listen. We wouldn't have no computer, been pawned it and all kinds of foolishness. What you mean? Car? Might not have had a car. I mean, it's just no telling what path disobedience would have taken us down. So thank y'all for listening, tuning in. We're going to record some more episodes over these next few months to try to catch up so that we can meet our season 3 end of season timeline in December. So thank y'all for your patience. We appreciate you. If you take nothing else from this episode, be obedient to God. I mean, really, truly, you got a lot to lose. You got a lot to lose, if you know. Yes, no, maybe so. All right, y'all. Peace and hair grease. We'll see y'all on the other side. Take care, everybody.